Episode 131 of Australia's #1 marketing show. You thought email marketing was dead? Are you kidding? Today's guest explains why it isn't and how you can use it to grow your business. This guy absolutely loves it.
Welcome to the Small Business Big Marketing Show, where successful small business owners share their secrets to take your marketing to the next level. Now here's your host, Tim Reid.
G'day everyone and welcome back to the Small Business Big Marketing Show. I am your host, Timbo Reid. You right there, much more importantly, are a motivated small business owner who wants to crank out some great marketing and grow their business. And we are brought to you by someone who can help both of us, and that is Net Registry, the very, very good folks at Net Registry, who are basically there to get our online businesses sorted. Domain name registration, website hosting, website design and development, pay-per-click advertising, you name it. They are there to help get your online marketing sorted. Go and make contact with them through the smallbusinessbigmarketing.com website. There is a Net Registry banner right there, or go directly. I don't care. netregistry.com.au. Big show today. Welcome everyone from the Flying Solo community too, because I know how much you loved last week's episode where I interviewed your fearless leader, Robert Gerish, about how on earth he built a community of 56,000 solopreneurs. No mean feat. And he took us behind the golden curtain as to how he did that. Is the golden curtain actually a phrase? I don't think it is, but it sounded good. Sounded a little bit naughty as well, but yeah. Anyway, we'll leave that and move on. Hey, I'm off to Launceston tomorrow, down Tassie way, V8 supercars, as a guest, though, of Microsoft. So I get this email a couple of weeks ago that says, "Dear Timbo, as an authoritative voice on business in Australia, I wanted to touch base with you regarding an exciting opportunity." And it went on to say, "We'd like you to be our guest at the V8 Supercars, where Microsoft are going to launch this thing called Office 365. And the V8 Supercar teams are using it, and we're going to learn all about how to do it." What I think's really interesting is they're inviting podcasters, they're inviting bloggers, as well as the general broader media. Hallelujah, we have been recognized. This content marketing stuff works. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to sharing some of the insights as to how they go about marketing. Possibly may get an interview with a Microsoft marketing person, sponsorship person, and or a V8 supercar sponsorship person, because I think we can always learn from the top end of town as well, us small business owners, in regards to marketing. So a little bit more on that in episodes to come. I head down there tomorrow. Guys, thank you so much for joining the Small Business Big Marketing Forum. Those of you who have, there's some great discussion. I just love the fact, I think I'll probably put together a dedicated episode about some of the stuff that we're talking about in there, because look, it's just a lot of fun connecting with you, the listeners, on a daily basis. I'm in there every day. There's been discussion around QR codes. People are sharing productivity tools that they use to get their marketing cranked. I give a lot of feedback. People are saying, "Hey, what do you think about this website page or this brochure or this ad?" And I record little short videos providing feedback on that. Other listeners, other members are providing feedback to other members' marketing as well. Just a lot of good discussion. Guys, it's 49 big ones, hey? More expensive than a cup of coffee, cheaper than a slab of beer. It's 49 big ones a month, and you can go and join by visiting smallbusinessbigmarketing.com and clicking on the forum button or the products page, and you will be connected immediately. Now, today's guest, the big topic that is hot. Email marketing. I'll tell you why it's hot, because when I said I was interviewing one of Australia's leading email marketing experts, I put it on my Facebook, on the show's Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, and I got 30 plus responses with listeners suggesting questions that I should ask my guest. It's a hot topic. My guest is Shane Tilley. He is an email marketing expert. The way I found Shane was I kind of put it out there, and my old mate Lukey, remember Lukey from episode 1 to 80? It was the Timbo and Lukey show. Well, Lukey says, I said, Lukey, who's the email marketing guy going around? Because Lukey's in the know, he knows that type of stuff. He said, Shane. You got to talk to Shane. He used to be the marketing manager for SitePoint, which is a very large web and publishing community. They had a massive list, and Shane spent a great deal of his time perfecting the copy, the offers, the formats of the emails, everything email related. In fact, one of his Christmas campaigns generated about $500,000 in sales. Hello from one email. Happy days. I then contacted Shane. He says he's happy to come on the show. And he talks, and I said, well, okay, well, give me a little bit of a sense of your biography, Shane. And he says, okay, well, I actually partner with a small group of people to help turn their ideas into real online businesses. Now, the names he mentions, and I won't mention them because I don't know whether he wants me to, they are heavy hitters, guys. They are the Rolls Royce kind of on the online business community. Shane works with them across all facets of doing business online, but he says, my love for email is driven by the fact that it is still today the most powerful sales channel I can leverage in every single product launch and campaign he does by a long way, ! Shane loves email marketing. Let me tell you, he loves it. He gets excited by it. He gets as excited about email marketing as I do about this show, Small Business Big Marketing, and helping you improve your marketing. So this is a good thing. This is a marriage made in heaven. Here's some of the stuff that Shane and I cover in this interview, which goes for about 55 minutes, guys. I'm sorry, but it's just dripping with marketing gold. I know you're going to love it. I know it's long, but hey, you know, there is that pause button. But we cover why is email marketing still valid? Why do businesses get it wrong? Why do so many businesses get it wrong? Is it suited to particular types of businesses? What are the must-haves in order to have a successful email marketing campaign? How do you build a list? And then the gold, guys. He breaks down an email. He talks about compelling headlines, the content within the email. Should it be long or short or whatever it should be? HTML versus text. How many topics? How many links? What the layout looks like? Video, audio, frequency. Oh man, we cover some serious email marketing ground. So I would really suggest that you get a pen and paper ready. Probably a stiff drink too, because there is a lot of information here. I will see you on the other side. Here is a guy who is in love with email marketing, Shane Tilley. Oh, sorry, not just yet. By the way, Shane is going to answer every listener question he didn't answer in this interview. He is going to answer, and I'm going to put it into the Small Business Big Marketing Forum. Plus, he has offered to have a look over my shoulder at the Small Business Big Marketing's approach to email marketing and give me some advice and tips and tricks, which I'm going to record like I did with the Pinterest guy, Jason Miles. And that training is also going to appear in the Small Business Big Marketing Forum. Okay, I promise this time, here is Shane Tilley. Shane Tilley from shanetilley.com. Welcome to Small Business Big Marketing.
Thanks, Tim. Great to be here.
Now, mate, I'm going to start with the Captain Obvious question. What is email marketing?
Well, email marketing is simply a direct form of marketing. So you can think of it no different to a brochure or a print newsletter or a memo or a fax. It's just a different channel, which is obviously leveraging something that the majority of people have, email, to communicate directly with your prospects, customers, or community.
I tell you what, whatever it is, it's an incredibly hot topic. You know, like I posted on Facebook last night, like literally 12 hours ago, saying I'm interviewing an email marketing expert. What are your questions? I've got 21 questions sitting there. I've got about 5 sitting on LinkedIn. I haven't even checked Twitter. So I'm reckoning within 12 hours, like I've got 30 plus questions just from listeners alone, much less what I've got. I'm sure we'll cover, certainly let's cover what I've got here, because I think we'll cover off a lot of what listeners are asking anyway. Now,
sounds good.
Now, given social media and the plethora of email we receive already in our inbox, we've all got inbox, there must be a word for it, inbox fear.
I call it inbox fatigue.
Inbox fatigue. Why is email marketing still a valid form of marketing?
Look, I say, and it's the old "is email dead" mantra, and there's kind of two streams or two thoughts I look at that. The first is, well, email often gets compared to social media. So, you mentioned Twitter, LinkedIn, all those exciting frontiers, and they're going to be the death knell for email. And to a degree, I think there's a bit of an excitement factor still about social media, that it's new and interesting and something that us marketers can get a little bit excited about. But when push comes to shove, email, and particularly in my experience, is still, from a performance standpoint, miles ahead of social media. It's just not as exciting, I would say. The second part of that, and I'm actually going to ask you a couple of questions just to prove that the email marketing is still relevant. When was the last time you checked your email, Tim?
You're bringing up. I'm going to get all emotional. 5 minutes ago, like it's the bane of my life.
Exactly. And second to that, what did you check it on?
My MacBook.
Oh, your MacBook. Do you have
was that a leading question?
That was a leading question. I was hoping it was your phone. So that just shows that email's changing, but still very relevant. The next question is, how many people do you know that have email but are not on social media?
Again, leading question, but everyone I know has got email. I just don't know what their social media activity is. But that gap would be closing, though.
Absolutely. And I think even the gap is increasing of people who have social media and not email. But I still think we've got a long, long way before that's the case. So, if you can position yourself in people's inboxes, you're still reaching a very vast and large audience. So that to me suggests that email is a long way from being dead. Same way I still have a telephone. It exists. I don't use it very often, but it's still relevant.
Is there an element of when everyone else is shouting, whisper? So, I mean, could you say that mine email's no quieter these days than it was 5 years ago, I must say. But, if everyone is shouting on social media, has that provided an opportunity for email marketing?
Yeah, and it's changed, I guess, the approach we take with email, and it's very much brought personalization to the forefront. So I've got a much more intimate relationship potential with you in the inbox, because it's typically where you have longer conversations, and they're not a whole bunch of people shouting and trying to be the center of attention. I can actually say, hey Tim, we've just got this exciting piece of news that because you've done XYZ with us before, I thought you'd be really keen to know a bit more about, and here it is. That's much more intimate and personal than I can ever hope to achieve with something like Twitter or Facebook. In some ways you can, but it's a little bit more difficult. So
it's interesting. I mean, I get that in a sense. I've never thought of email as intimate, although now that you've mentioned it, I could argue for that being the case. But Facebook's pretty, I suppose the word's engaging. Twitter's not engaging. Twitter's broadcast. I don't know. Find me a Twitter expert, will you? But Facebook's engaging. It is conversational. To be able to... So that intimacy of email, tell me more about that.
Yeah, so so Facebook, you said conversational, perfect way to describe that. But is it action orientated? So if I want to have a conversation that results in you doing something, is Facebook the best place for me to do that? Particularly if it's about buying something from me or transacting, where email I've got an ability to shape that into an action. I can give you a whole bunch of contextual information, then say, hey, would you like to do something? And I find that email is a little bit more powerful in that than perhaps Facebook. And don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of Facebook, but I'll give you a bit of a story. It's actually quite relevant. It happened about 3:30 this morning. We launched a new product, a brand new product, and we had an email base of about 750,000. and we have a social media following across various channels of, I'd say, well over 500,000, sort of pushing that similar 750,000. And we shared the news of this new product with that audience, and 90+% of the activity that's come to that site has been driven from email, not from social media. Yeah, so I mean, they're real statistics that are still playing out as we speak. I've probably still got sales coming in, and I'd say 9 out of 10 of them are coming via email.
Now, you're talking about the ability for email to be more intimate, to be able to share more. That's like a website. Like, for example, a website is a place where you can put the most amount of information about your business because by nature they're infinite. Yeah.
Yep.
And likewise, an email is potentially infinite. There's no limit to the amount of words, pictures, content you can put within an email.
Yes.
That doesn't.
Yes, that within reason.
Within reason.
With email providers, we'll put limits on what people can receive and send. So there is broader confinement, but
but it doesn't make it. It doesn't mean you should,
No.
And you've still got to get people to open those emails and engage with them and react to them and do what you want to with them. So I guess that we'll talk about that. So interesting discussion. You still believe email is by far and away outstrips social media as a small business marketing tool. In fact, you'd go as far as to say that it's right up there as, kind of a leading marketing tool that if you get right, a small business can really benefit from.
Absolutely. And it's about, direct impact to the bottom line as well. So social media is great for connecting, engaging, but when you need to pay the bills, that's where email is still a mile front in my mind.
Okay. Well, I want to get to the point, Shane, where we actually dissect what we need in order to create fantastic email marketing. But I am interested to understand, why are so many small businesses getting their email marketing wrong, or at least not right? Why are they still so disappointed, disillusioned, disenfranchised from it?
I think because a lot of it on the surface looks very hard and feels very hard. And there's a little, mountain to climb. I'll call it a small mountain, but there's a little work to be done up front to get a hill. We'll call it a mogul. Just to get yourself set up properly. And once you do that, then the rest just becomes so much easier. And I think once businesses get over that initial little hill, then the downward side of that just can continue to pay off for a long, long time. I talk to a lot of small business owners and things like trying to use Outlook as your email marketing platform kind of horrifies me. But I'd say more than you may suspect are still using that, because they might have started their email list with, 10, 20, 30 people. And over time that's grown to 50 and 100, and they're comfortable using Outlook as their email platform, and haven't yet made that transition to something that's actually built for purpose. It's built to be an email marketing platform, and they don't cost the earth either. They're quite cheap. So that's really one of the first mistakes I see a lot of small businesses make is trying to use a system that's not built for purpose. The second kind of part to that is around the strategy. So email, and we've spoken about the intimacy before and the relationship that you can build via the inbox. But what I see a lot of small businesses doing is purely going a take approach to their content plan. I very much, in a relationship standpoint, work on a give, take approach. So I'm going to give my readers two things before I ask them to do something. So it might be a giveaway. It might be something interesting or a piece of content before I'll ask them to buy something.
So is that, can I be as literal as saying, is that 3 emails?
Yes, correct. There's a whole bunch of specific stuff. I'm not sure if you wanted to dig down to that, but
we will. Not just yet.
Not just yet.
Definitely.
I'll stop. I get a little excited about it.
Yeah, clearly. Hey, I love a guy who gets excited about email.
Yes,
and say hello to your wife, because she's clearly like going, come on, Shane, let it go for a minute, mate.
She's my proofreader. She loves it just as much as me.
Crazy relationship. Yeah. Okay. So they're getting it wrong. So what the reason? And I'll say we, because sometimes I look at my email strategy and go, gee,
Yep.
we was hoping for more.
Yep.
There's tools. there's the mogul. They've
Yes.
got to recognize that there is a mogul,
Yes.
and that once they get over that by setting themselves up, like anything, like, I go in and do a podcast. If my microphone's in place, if I've got Skype open, if I've got Skype call recorder,
Yep.
I've got my guest, then it's literally walk up to the seat, hit record, and happy days.
Yeah. So how hard did that feel the first time you put a podcast together?
Unbelievably hard.
Exactly. And the same is with your email campaigns.
Cool. Okay, so we're gonna work on getting over that mogul. Before we do that, let's just be clear: is email marketing suited to a particular type of business? You spend a lot of time in an online world. My listeners a lot of them are offline. Is it suited to any business?
I think it's suited to every business. I've yet to find one that we couldn't find some sort of value from running email marketing. And I'm going to tell you a very quick but very cool story about a butcher. It was a butcher that a friend of mine stumbled across many, many years ago. So we're talking 5+ years ago. And he went to this butcher and bought a particular cut of meat. I can't remember what it was. And the butcher said, "Would you like to sign up to our email newsletter?" And this guy's a bit of an online marketer as well. And that immediately got his attention. I mean, a butcher signing up to an email newsletter. And he said, sure, he just wanted to see what would happen, didn't expect much. What had actually happened is by the time he got home, which was about 15 or 20 minutes, he'd received an email from that butcher with a handful of suggested recipes for the actual cut of meat that he got.
Oh,
And he was like, wow, this is brilliant. Now that guy has been off the back of that is now 100% loyal to that butcher and has been going there for the last 5 years. So that just shows you how a small butcher can leverage email marketing to great effect. So
now I love a good story.
Yeah.
And that is a good story. You don't know that butcher. I would love to dissect that a little further. Do you reckon, or do you know the butcher? Have you made contact with him?
I haven't. I just tell his story to lots of people.
Cool.
But yeah.
Do you reckon that butcher has got 10 different sets of copy depending on whether someone buys the bratwurst, the lamb chop, or the porterhouse?
Correct. Yes. Yep.
Yeah,
So
that's
that's
clever.
email template ready to go for the different cuts of meat. Now, subsequent after that first initial personalized email, he rolled into the standard newsletter, which went to everyone. But just that very first introduction was completely relevant to what had just happened inside the butcher.
Then I now wonder, how did that butcher come across that idea? Has he got a mate in marketing? Does he did he come up with the idea himself? I mean, it's brilliant. And it's the least, if you had said to me, what type of business would you least expect to have nailed email marketing? I'd go, clearly a butcher show.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a great example, but you can see it's a very simple but very effective execution from a very bricks and mortar business. So that's where I say, with a bit of thought, just about every business can get some value from some sort of email marketing.
Okay, love it. All right, mate, the mogul's in front of us. In fact, I reckon you've underestimated it. It's either a very big mogul or it's a series. It's a bit of a run.
Yep.
But let's get over them because I think that is exciting. And clearly you're excited and you've got me excited.
Good.
So
Okay.
I'm guessing there's some must-haves in
Yes.
order to successfully use email marketing as a marketing strategy in your business. What
Yes.
are they?
I'm going to start with the platform first. So I think I've mentioned it before, but go and find a good platform that's built to be an email marketing system. Now, there's a couple of great ones that are in great news are free to get started on. So there's one called Campaign Monitor, which is a good Australian company up in Sydney. And they'll let you, I think it's up to 2,000 subscribers, let you run your programs for free. The other is MailChimp, which are very similar to Campaign Monitor. The beautiful thing about both of these two applications is they are so easy to use. You'll find it might take an hour to get everything set up and ready to go. They're just absolutely elegant in the way they empower non-technical people to really get up to speed very quickly, and are free to start. There's a heap more that are cheaper. There's Aweber, which is great if you're sending lots of emails to lots of people. That's the one I used last night because the more emails you sent, the higher the price could go, and they represent value for money, but aren't as usable. So I would say really look at either Campaign Monitor or MailChimp as your first port of call. Once you start to get in the 10s, 20s, 30s of thousands of subscribers, that's where you might want to, look somewhere else. And
So just for the great unwashed, Shane, what does one expect from an email marketing system like a Campaign Monitor or MailChimp?
Yeah, so it will house all your email addresses, so all your customer email addresses for you. It will be the place where you will create your campaigns and put your content, so the emails you want to send to people, and then they'll actually take care of the distribution, which is often not thought on, or a great value not put on, because these email marketing companies are there to make sure that you get caught in the fewest number of spam filters as possible. So they have teams of people who are working with the Gmails, the Hotmails of the world, making sure that emails coming from their clients are still getting through as much as possible. So,
that's what you're paying for right there.
Exactly. And suffice to say that when you're getting started, you're not paying at all. You're getting that for free. So that's even, that's fantastic.
Now, can we say too that within all those three systems you mentioned, that you have the ability to do what we call broadcast email, which is, want to send an email right now, type, send, off goes to your list. You also have the ability to schedule for emails to go out over the course of however long you choose. Weeks, days, weeks, years.
Yeah, so I could, and you're getting into more the sophisticated level of email marketing there, but you can use what we call...
I just didn't want you to get bored, mate. I know how much you love it, and I just wanted to sort of take you into the Lambo kind of area. Right. I'm going to pull you back quickly, though.
Oh, damn it. Okay, so there's two advanced techniques. One is action-based response. So if I send you a newsletter about, let's use the butcher example, about different cuts of meat, and I see you click on the roast beef, I can very quickly, a day or two later, send you a special deal on roast beef because I know you like that. The other one is to have an autoresponder sequence. So I might take you on a journey over a half a dozen emails across a 3-month period, which might be give, take. So it's using that approach, and that is all set and forget. So as soon as you subscribe to that autoresponder, the system will just take care of sending out the things I've asked it to at the intervals I've asked it to do. But again, that's kind of getting out there on the edge of your email marketing strategy.
Email wackiness.
Yes.
All right, mate. The mogul is getting a tad smaller. We've got the platform. Next.
Okay, then you need to start filling it with email addresses, obviously. So a list. You need to start building your list. And, the best email marketing plan in the world is going to be useless if you don't actually have people to send it to. There's a lot of different techniques about building your subscriber list. Obviously, we want, we first and foremost want people to know they're going on the list. I see a lot of people who might email me randomly with a question that I'll respond to, I'll all of a sudden be part of their email list, and it's a bit of a shock. So I see that as a bit of a no-no. You want to make sure people know that they are subscribing. And you can give them incentives to do so as well. So I'm sure a lot of your listeners have websites. Well, are you offering an incentive for someone to sign up to your newsletter, for example? Give them a reason to. They're not just going to do it because they feel like it. You actually have to encourage them somehow. So
this is classic. So just so we're clear here, the emails, the email marketing system, like your Campaign Monitor, and this is where I do think it gets technical, and this is where I do think the small business owner kind of melts down and goes, okay, I see those forms on other people's websites that ask for my email address, and in exchange, they're going to give me something. So give, get. Geez, how do I get that form, and how do I set all that up?
So this is the beautiful side of Campaign Monitor and MailChimp. It's one sentence basically that you need to put on your website, and the rest all just happens magically. So it's if you can build a Word document, or you can do a spreadsheet, you can bug me. I'll just go heap fatiggy if you can't set up a form on your website.
He for Tiki.
Yeah. You've never heard that one?
No, I haven't. It's a good one, though.
The other thing you can do is, and this is an interesting site itself, is a site like tweaky.com. So you can pay someone on Tweaky $40 and they'll probably do that all for you.
Mm-hmm. What's Tweaky?
It's a crowdsourced marketplace to get small changes done to your site. So
clever.
You might, I just want a subscriber box put here. You pay someone, maybe $40 and that'll all get just done for you, which is all managed by the Tweaky guys.
TWEKY.com.
Tweaky.
Love it. Love a little website like that. Righto. Yeah. So we've got the form. That's one way of building a list too, by the way. It's having the form on the website. It's, meeting people at a networking function, receiving a card saying, hey, do you mind if I put you on my list?
All that stuff. Yep.
It's that entire address book in our Outlook or our Gmail. What about that? Can we pick that up? I mean, that's where you start to get a bit messy because you pick that up and drop it into Campaign Monitor.
Yep.
All of a sudden, a whole lot of people are going to get emails that may have not previously expected those emails, correct?
Yeah, exactly. So that's where I say make sure people know that they're going on there. And you may even want to personally send them an invitation to your newsletter. It's like, hey, I just wanted to let you know I have this newsletter that I'd love you to be a part of. Click this link to either opt in or opt out. That might be, depending on what approach you wanted to take. So you can take your whole Outlook calendar, shoot them an email and say, we're starting this email newsletter or, whatever you're starting, and then, get them to opt in so they actually know. But absolutely. So, we need to probably, it's worth just touching on opt-ins as well. So we've got some spam rules in Australia that we need to abide by. So there's informed and explicit and implicit consent to be able to send people emails. So if you have a direct relationship with someone, so they're your customer, for example, you can email them without them necessarily having to say that they can. But if you've got some random lead out in the world somewhere, then you have to ask them, or they have to give you permission to be able to send them email marketing messages. So you just need to make sure that you do have either those two levels of consent. Which there's plenty of stuff you can read, and I can send you maybe for the show notes, Tim, a quick resource for people to wrap their head around that consent side of things as well.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thirdly, list building. What about the idea of then buying a list? Do you? Is that a good idea?
I've bought a list twice, and it was a complete waste of time. I personally would never do it again. Because I take that intimate approach to my email. So I'm getting, and we'll probably talk about stats later, but open rates that are 3 or 4 times industry benchmarks, but very much because I'm taking priority in people's inboxes. So the prospect of going and buying a list, it kind of horrifies me to be honest. And I do see a lot of that in bigger corporates where they'll share lists and buy lists and borrow lists, and they get open rates that are just an embarrassment, and they wonder why. And I go, well, because you're coughing up your own list to other people and like borrowing lists from other people, and it's just, you're not thinking about the recipients, you're just thinking about your own campaign. So,
well, they're probably measuring it on how many emails they sent as opposed to how many emails got opened.
Yeah, look, I think they're kind of swept up in their own mediocrity, if I could say that.
Hello to all you corporates listening.
Yeah, I come from a corporate background. I'm completely
me too.
But they compare their own stats, and they're all very bad or horrifying. So they kind of think that's okay. And then I go and share my Campaign Monitor stats with them, and they go, wow. Yeah. Then we start to pull apart why, and it's a little shocking. So,
and Shane, we need to move on from lists.
Sure.
Well, gosh, it scares me. This is a full day interview potentially. One last question in terms of, because the concept you've introduced, it's permission marketing. Seth Godin's permission marketing, give to get.
Yep.
What you give, ebook, white paper, series of videos, audios, whatever it may be. What information, at its most basic, you've got to ask for it. Can I have your email address? Is there some kind of graph that says that more contact information you ask for, the less people are going to register?
There is. I haven't actually dug into the most recent statistics, but for a long time that was reviewed at nauseum. Names sometimes a sacrifice I'll make, but I've never asked for anything more than email and first name, because the greater friction you put you've got to remember you're asking someone to do something. So the more fields you have in your subscription box or however you're doing it, the bigger ask you're putting in front of a potential subscriber. So I've really just worked from that rule of thumb, and it hasn't kind of let me down. But first name does sometimes help with that intimacy and that personalization. So depending on the project I'm working on, may drive that or not.
Yeah, okay.
The market research people tend to argue a lot with me around that. But what I say to that is that I'll understand what my subscribers are interested in by what they do, not by what they say. So I'm looking at what links they're clicking on, what particular emails they're opening, to help me understand those customers more than asking them, where they're born and how old they are and whether they like chocolate or not.
Yeah, okay. I just had a thought. You're going to help me write the email for when this show goes out.
Yeah, sounds good. I'd love to.
Love it.
Yes. I can stew on them a little bit though. I've been known to refine 3 or 4 paragraph emails over the space of a couple of days. So
I can imagine, mate. It'd be fun to watch. In fact, if you could set up some kind of time lapse video as well, I think it'd make for some comedic viewing.
It probably would.
So, Shano, now listeners, I'm talking to Shane Tilley from ShaneTilley.com. He likes email. Now, we're on the mogul. We've got the platform. We've got the list. What else do we need to get over that mogul and get our first email marketing campaign sorted?
Okay, so that's when we're talking about content. So we need to start thinking about what is it we're going to send to our subscribers. So there are a couple of important considerations you need to make. The first is probably your subject. Your subject can have a dramatic impact on whether your email gets opened or not.
Yep.
Now, everyone's going to ask me, and I'm sure this is a question on Facebook, is like, what subject should I use for my email? And I'm going to say you need to figure that out for yourself. But what you need to do is test and review. So you can, in Campaign Monitor, for example, you can actually run a real-time test. So I can say, I've got my email. Here's my subject line A. Here's my subject line B. Send a couple of each and then automatically decide which one's getting opened the most and send the rest to that one.
Hang on. Let me understand that. You can put in, so split test. I've got 2 subject lines.
Yep.
Send each of those lines to what? One person each?
Or you can
however many,
because you might only have a list of maybe 1,000.
Yeah, right.
You don't want
so send it to 20 each.
Yep.
And then once there's a winner, send the balance of the emails with the winning subject line.
And it'll all do it for you.
Whoa, there it is. Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah, so that's been around for some time, and I've used that manually for 10 years because I know that you can have differences of 100%. They can be that significant in terms of whether you get opened or not. The second part to the content is actually thinking about the words you're putting in there. Now,
hang on. You're not leaving subject line that easily. No. Mate.
All right.
I'm looking at the Facebook questions, and I've just gone straight there. And there's one from Daryl. Subject line tips that help increase open rates. So you got to give us 3 that are like, I'm guessing, should it be personal? Should it be curious? Should it be short? Should it avoid the word free? Come on, give us something.
All right. So it should be relatively short. Sometimes you've got to break your own rules, but keep as short as possible. I like to actually keep it very factual as well. So don't describe the subject as something the email's not, because that has different implications. The other thing is to make it enticing. So use words like, there's going to be some cliches in here, but, the secrets to, or master, or conquer, or that sort of stuff. They're very much in your content-led emails. So, the short description that's as powerful as you can make it. Think of yourself like you're a newspaper sub-editor thinking of the headline for the front page of your newspaper for that morning. What's going to be the cry that's going to get people to buy my newspaper? In this context, read your email. So
no, that's really good advice. And one thing I say to my clients is, if you are struggling for a headline like that for your email or for anything, for a blog post, go into the news agent, have a look at Men's Health or Clio, and look at those little headlines on the front cover, because they ain't there by accident.
Exactly. And there are people whose job title it is to make those up. That's their job. That's what they do. Nothing more. That's it. So yeah, the same rules apply for email, but it's tough. It's a tough one for me to answer because it is very situational. So like the subject I would use for a butcher is very different to something I would use, say, for the podcast announcement, for example.
Yeah, gotcha. Righto. Content. Body copy, I suppose.
All right. So make it readable. Now, that's a sweeping statement, but you want to realize that the majority of people reading your email are going to skim read. They're going to read the headlines, they're going to read the bullet points, and then they're going to make a decision whether they're interested or not. So don't put huge chunks of text in your email unless you know this is going to an audience that, are book nerds and like to read, for example. So keep it as short as you possibly can to communicate what it is you need to. And you might have just a call to action is to read more on the site. That might be simply, we've just released this great white paper on how to record great audio for your next podcast with some mind-blowing factoids that you probably haven't realized were possible. If you'd like to learn more, click here. So that shifts them to your website to get them to read. So, keep it very short and to the point. The other thing I want to talk about in content is HTML versus text.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
well, let's just explain that, just in case. That's geek talk. It's old geek talk, but
geek talk. Yep.
HTML, pretty pictures, links, flexible type format. Yeah. Text is exactly that, flat, static text.
So I like to think brochure versus letter. HTML is brochure, letter is text. Now, it's relatively common practice for retailers to do, nice glossy kind of brochures as their monthly newsletters, which I think is fine.
Really?
I do, with the exception that I never use them for specific sales emails or where I'm trying to go that personal approach. So I use the example as, when was the last time you sent a HTML email? I don't know if you're married, Tim, but I'm going to say your wife.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. When was the last time you sent a glossy, fancy HTML email to your wife? Have you ever?
She just think I was weirder than I am.
Exactly. So you've got a very personal connection with your wife, I hope. So you send her plain text, you send her letters. So if I'm a business trying to replicate even a fraction of what you have with your wife, sending you this glossy, shiny, magazine-y, billboardy thing is not going to get that connection. So if I send you a personal letter and go, hey, Tim, super excited about this email marketing stuff. Like, you got to get on board. It's like fantastic. Check it out here. That's going to get much more cut through than, me doing like a nice box shot of something. And So I'm the guy that always challenges the necessity for HTML email and have been proven right more times than wrong when I've challenged people and say, do a HTML version and see what that does for your conversion rates. And it always wins.
I can't help but think, and I haven't got any stats to back it up except my own personal consumer hat-on experience.
Yep.
And I can't help but think that these fancy e-newsletter type, brochure type emails we get are driven by the fact that the email program from the company that has sent me that email allows them to create these bright, shiny objects that the guy in the marketing department can go to his boss and go, have a look at this beautiful email newsletter I've just created. Doesn't it look like a magazine?
I could not agree with you anymore, Tim. That's pretty much spot on.
This is an email loving. I didn't expect it because I'm not the kind of rational marketing guy like you. And, You might have changed me.
It's because you can, not because you should. And that's
correct.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So now HTML still can look like a letter. Like the emails that I send from Small Business Big Marketing headquarters are HTML, but it's just text with links.
Yes, and that's a fine compromise. I think it's called rich text is the nerdy word for it, but I think that's kind of the happy medium, and where I sit maybe on, let's say, 50% of the emails that I send, the rest would be plain text only with no styling whatsoever.
So are we to the point of being able to say then, Shane, that any small business owner that's listening, that is doing email marketing, that's thinking of doing email marketing, they're going to go and sit and send an email after this episode, hopefully, and if it's a newsletter with updates from the business, or if it's them selling a particular program or product or service, then they really should just sit there, cogitate over a really clever bit of letter writing.
Yes.
And do it that way. Don't worry about pretty pictures. Don't worry about design layout. Don't worry about logo.
Yep. Just send me it. So I would say, everyone who's giving this a go, just imagine you're writing a letter to Tim. He's the only person that's going to receive that letter, and you are writing an email to him. Write it in your own email system before you bring it into something like Campaign Monitor if you want, but just pretend and imagine that you're writing to Tim. And
when you say Tim, I actually, you don't mean literally me, but you mean, I always say to people, write your marketing as if you're writing to I call them your best mate, but your ideal customer.
Exactly. So you're just writing for one person, and then you can bring it into your broadcast system. Yeah.
Now, with the content, am I right in saying that you want that email opened and then you want people to click on a link in that email and get them off to your website as soon as humanly possible?
In most cases, in 95% of cases,
Okay,
I might
stick with that.
I might be building in this is more in the complex form. I might be building you up for something. So I just might be sending you tidbits to kind of get you excited. I'm not ready to ask you to do anything yet. I just want you on board. So when I do ask you, it's kind of a no-brainer. That's more kind of that autoresponder, that elongated kind of sales funnel process. But for the most part, starting out, it's just either get them on the site to give them more value, or get them on the site to get them to do something for you.
Okay, so if it is an email newsletter format that the people are sending, the email should really say, hey guys, here's what's happening in the business that's of benefit to you, and list the 3 or 4 or 5 topics that you're going to cover in that newsletter.
Yep.
Click here to read all about it, and head off to one page on your website where you cover all those topics.
Exactly. Yep. That's what I would do. So you touched on something that I'll just grab of benefit to your reader. So you've got to remember that you're giving value to your reader. So make sure it is stuff that's of benefit to them. I don't think they want to care about how excited you are about the shiny new purple reception desk you've got. Well, some people would, but here's a great new addition to our product that we thought you might be keen to understand a little more about. So it's a benefit and value to your reader, not yourself.
Yeah, good point. That shiny purple reception desk. Oh, gee, it's a distraction.
It is.
Now, okay, so we've got them to the website. Now, the other thing I dropped previously was that notion of a number of topics within the email. Would I be fair to say that you're better off sticking to one message per email?
Yes, I particularly in sales email, I tend to focus on just one product. If it's to buy something, it's like buy this one thingy. I'm not going to confuse you with a million different things. What I will use multi-topic email for, though, is to understand what you're interested in. So say I'm selling TVs. I'm gonna before I ask you to buy a TV, I'm gonna send you some content which is all about Jamungo flat screen TVs, or it might be TV screens for my car. It might, there'll be a bunch of different topics. I will then go, Tim, what did you click? Okay, you clicked the more information about TVs in your car. So I know that's what you're interested in. So a week later, I'm going to send you a special deal on a particular new model TV for your car. So I'm actually using those grouped post to understand a little bit more about what you're interested in. And then when I asked you to buy something, I'm asking you to buy one thing, not one of 20. So that's the approach I take with that.
All right. Shane, what about in terms of body copy or content, video or audio within the email?
I have actually never sent video or audio in an email. Whether that's right or wrong, I can't answer because I've never sent one, so I can't give you the comparable statistics. I've sent links to videos. I've sent kind of tricky emails where I've got just a picture of what looks like a YouTube video with the play button, but you click on that and it actually takes you to the site. But that's as far as I've got. I worry about being that pain in the ass that's stopping all my other emails coming through because it's bloody 20 meg, 20 meg large. So I always worry about being that guy. And so precious is you valuing my email. I don't want to put that at risk. So I've always just been a little hesitant about that rich media inclusion directly in that email.
How many links in the copy?
I'd say make sure if you're asking someone to do something, make sure it's at the top, middle, and bottom.
Top, middle, and bottom, righto.
The one that gets missed,
the same link, the linking off to the same place, but 3 times.
Yeah. So say, I'm selling you this TV. I would say, great deal on this TV. Here's the one factoid. It's 20% off. Grab it here, and then I might give you a bit more of the tech specs of the TV, and then I'll have grab it here, and then right at the bottom I'll have a final one as well. So yeah, the one up the top is the one that often gets missed, but the one up the top is the one that most often gets clicked when you put it there. Mm-hmm. Because most people skim read and go, oh wow, 20% off this TV that I've wanted for my car for ages. I'm done. I'm out of here. Don't waste my time.
Yeah. Is the anchor text in those links, it is important, I'm guessing. Should it be different each time?
I tend to spice it up and just so it doesn't look like I'm sticking those links in just because I should. I try and weave them into, to snap up a copy, click here, and down the bottom I'm don't forget the special offer runs out in 2 days, click here to secure yours or something like that. So I'll get creative with that just to look consistent.
Do you love a good PS, Shane?
I love a good PS.
Do you?
I actually fought PSs for about 3 years and they kind of horrified me a bit. And then I got challenged. I said, all right, we'll do your way and we'll do my way with the PS, and the PS won. So I love the PS.
Wow. How's the PS best used?
It is either for a final point of note, so it might be that little kicker. So if you've got a money back guarantee, or if you've got a time limited promotion, you just might make that. It's like that final remark in the conversation. And everyone, for some reason, and I'm no psychologist, it's like orange buttons gravitates to the PS, and I'm just not sure why, but I for probably 9 of the 10 emails I sent, 9 of them will have a PS. I haven't stepped into the whole PPS and PPPS yet, but PSs are definitely something you can just leverage for that final word.
I often confuse. Is it PSS or PPS or I just leave it at the one, so I don't even have to worry about that.
Just blow my thing.
Yeah. That's exactly right. Tell me, what about layout? Because if we are talking a letter layout, I often see emails come through where people are doing returns halfway along the line. They're kind of narrow column versus running the width of the space. What is there any magic there?
Yeah, there is, but it's kind of changing, to be honest. And this is with the bloody mobile phones being email devices now. You've really got to be cautious about not only how it's read on a computer, but also on a mobile phone these days. So we used to do hard carriage returns at 130 characters, I think it is, just to make sure that it looked nice in your Windows Outlook that has the split window. So you've got all your folders on the left-hand side and then all your email content on the right-hand side. It used to be done for that. But I guess now with emails, it's all kind of up in the air. So I tend to limit those hard carriage returns or when you hit enter to break a line before you get to the end as much as possible, because it kind of looks kooky on mobile phones. The same with and if you do want to do the HTML emails as well, is if you've got that big wide banner, which I think used to be 760 pixels wide, which is quite wide. If you are still using that and you're opening that email on a mobile phone, the text is so tiny because it's trying to fit that header image in that as well. So you're forcing people to zoom in.
Oh, is that why that happens? That drives me nuts.
Yeah, it drives me nuts. So there's some good templates that the good providers have that are now what they're calling mobile friendly, which avoids that, tiny text in those fancy emails. So
let me understand that, because I got one yesterday and I just could not read it, no matter how much I pinched and squeezed and whatever the opposite of pinching is.
Yep.
It's when the content of the email has got a banner in it, like a signature panel or whatever it may be, that is forcing the width of the screen way beyond the aspect of the phone screen.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it goes. You've said because it's an image, so it's going. This is a picture of something. So I want to get by default the whole picture in my screen, which makes the rest of it really tiny.
Love it. Got that one. Now, okay, we've got to keep moving. Have we covered content?
As much as we can.
Oh, goodness me. Email marketing, so easy.
So the other thing I will touch on content is to test as well. Just as you do your subject lines, you can test your content as well. So, don't take my word for it with HTML versus plain text. Run a test yourself. Do an email to your 1,000 subscribers, 500 HTML, 500 plain text, and see which one works.
Shane, we're taking your word for it, mate. Sorry. Go to ShaneTilley.com if you want to complain, listeners. Now, the mogul is melting. We've got platform, we've got list, we've covered content. Anything else that makes up that mogul?
Well, we've got the testing, which I've kind of harped on all the way through it. The other thing you need to think about is how many and when. So when are you sending your emails and how often?
Oh, wow.
Just to simplify things for you.
Yeah, go on.
So again, when we talk about when, I talk about what day and what time of the day. And this is very dependent to your audience. So if you're SMB, you're working mostly with businesses, then during business hours is likely to be a better time of business hours. Monday to Friday is likely to be a better time. But if you're selling lifestyle products, maybe clothes or different sorts of services to a general consumer, then sending it out of work hours might be a better time. Now, I'll tend to fixate on the specific hour. So I know,
of course you would.
I know if I've got a product that there's a high density of mums, for example, I won't send it between school pickup hours. So I won't send it between sort of 3 to 6. I'll more introduce that at 7 p.m. or at sort of 11 a.m. when, the kids are at school. So I've really got to think about who are my readers and when is the best time and day of the week to be sending them the email.
Now, that's based on the assumption that you're sending an email and hoping they open it immediately. But email stacks up. So what's the problem with sending an email anytime, knowing that it's going to sit in the inbox until they next log in?
So I'm trying to time it when they're most likely to have just logged in, because I want to be at the top of the pile. If I'm at the bottom of the pile, then I'm likely to get deleted fairly quickly. But I'm the first one, when you've got all this energy to check your inbox, that's where I want to be. So that's where timing's important. So not be the guy stuck in the middle or at the bottom of a pile of emails that have built up over the last, 5-6 hours.
So B2B during business hours, Monday to Friday, B2C out of hours, but
not necessarily. You need to play around B2C. B2C is a little more unique to the product, and you play with different times. You figure it out over time.
I also challenge that too, because I just find like the idea of timing emails is just, like, wow, it's fraught with danger, and like it's such a general thing. I mean, not everyone's the same, but everyone's checking their emails so often these days, in and out of hours. Does it really matter?
If I'm asking you to buy something or do something, then it does matter, because I need you to be in a position to buy something. If I'm sending you hey, this cool new widget is awesome and it's 50% off, go and get it now, some people are very comfortable at buying things through their mobile phones. You probably are, but a lot of people still aren't. So they're going to want to receive that email when they're sitting down in front of their computer and can go and do that then and there.
Yep.
Again, I'm happy to accept any challenge on that, because what I say to everyone is you need to experiment with different times and find what works for you. But I do know that there are nuances and they can have an impact to your overall result.
Yeah. Okay. All right. How often? People say, how often should you send out a podcast episode? My answer to that is, well, set an expectation with your audience and meet it. That's how often. So if you're going to do a podcast episode a month, let people know it's going to come out a month. For me, my show comes out every Tuesday.
Yep.
And there's an expectation. So is there really a number that you can put to it? A frequency?
So with the right expectations, how often? You've just answered that question beautifully. With one caveat is, don't leave your gaps too wide. So a month is probably the longest I would like to go without just touching base with your customers, because they'll forget and they'll get distracted. So if you're emailing once every 3 months, I'd be pretty sure that a lot of them, that email that comes once every 3 months is kind of out of the blue, and they go, who the hell is this company and when did I sign up to their newsletter? So if you're going at least once a month, you're reminding them, if they're not even reading them, that you're around and they know who you are. So don't leave the gaps too wide, or people will consider you to be a spammer.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah,
fair enough.
But I've got sites that I email people every day. I've got sites that I email once a week, twice a week. So there's no hard and fast rule. But as you said perfectly, as long as you set the expectations right.
What's with no need to go into detail on a site that has a daily email, but that's a lot. That's a lot. What's the question there? The question is, how do you avoid unsubscription?
Well, that's actually a daily deal site for photographers. So people signing up for it, and the expectations are right. Yeah. So that's why that's fine. So that's probably the only one that I do daily. There's some great examples that I was even hearing on the radio about programs that run daily. So you might sign up for a daily tip on how to be better with your time management, and each day you'll get an email which is purely just a little tip for you to read, to go, well, try this technique. I guarantee you, at the end of that, let's say it's a 3-week program, you're going to get an email that says, how about you buy this product?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's an example of when a daily email might work in a different context as well.
All about expectations.
Yes.
Shane, where are we at, mate? Are we over the mogul?
We are over the mogul. We've hopefully kind of opened your eyes and you've fired off your first campaign and you're kind of thinking through it. The best thing then is to really be able to dig in and understand what's happening, so you can readjust and just redefine your strategy to find what's perfect for you.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I feel as though there's some breakthroughs there. There's some real little nuggets, little marketing gems that all of us can take to either launch into an email marketing strategy or improve the one we've got, because I bet all of us are thinking, God, there's room for improvement. And there's some gems there.
So can I leave my PS? I've got a PS.
Yeah, I love it. Here it is. What do you got?
PS, probably the most important thing when you're thinking about your own email marketing is to think at a reader level, not at a campaign level. What I find is people come up with these great campaigns and they just forget that there are real readers and subscribers underneath that you need to be thinking of. So if you're thinking at a reader level, not a campaign level, then your email campaigns are going to be much better for it.
Let me understand the difference between thinking at a reader level. Is that like thinking of your best mate and writing them a letter?
Yes.
Versus what's the thinking look like at campaign level?
Well, it's just the deal, the offer, more, the deal goes well, we give them another deal and we just sort of inundate them and burn them out. So if you're it's more worrisome in larger companies that have different marketing campaigns that are all trying to talk to the same person. So, they're thinking at their own campaign level, not that, the same reader has received 4 emails this week from different divisions of your organization.
Do you think there's value in appointing a copywriter to your virtual marketing team to write these emails?
I all the copywriters I've worked for over the years are going to probably slap me over the face when I say this, but I got a bit of advice from a very smart guy a long time ago saying, write your email, send it to a copywriter, and then change all the changes they make back to your original one and send it out.
Hello to all you copywriters.
So I've worked in a good sense with a lot of copywriters. I do find you're the best person to write your own email.
Oh, thank you. Oh, you mean generally?
Yeah, generally. I tend to leverage copywriters just to help me massage it, but I don't get them to write it from scratch. So I use more editors than copywriters, I would say.
Okay, editor. Righto. Where do you find an editor?
I just go to my contact list and look, you go to you'll find a handful of people that you connect really well with in an editor sense. So I think you can't just go to Elance and find the first one that comes across your radar. You've actually got to find someone who you can connect with, who can understand what it is you're trying to say in your gibberish that you've put together as a draft, and then kind of re-communicate that still in your own voice. So it can take time to find an editor that you really can work with in a long-term sense. So experiment with a few different ones, using Elance and other sort of recruitment areas. But once you find someone who you can connect with well, then kind of just continue to use them.
Now, Shane, mate, you've shared some gold. Firstly, thank you.
No worries.
I just think if you could find a little bit more passion around email, it would come through clearer in the next interview you do.
Boring. I'm loath to it.
Now, what we haven't done, and I'm just looking guiltily at 19 questions on the show's Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter. But that said, now's not the time to go through and tick off the ones we have answered, but I do feel as though we have answered quite a lot of them. What I'm going to do is talk to you off air, and then I'm going to insert a static sound effect. And after that, I'm going to then explain to the listeners exactly how they're going to get access to those questions that they've asked. And in fact, I've got a couple of other ideas because I don't think the email marketing discussion has finished with you. No. And you'd be welcome back into the Small Business Big Marketing headquarters to pursue it if you've got the time and you can find the passion, mate.
Sounds like fun. You don't have to work too hard to get me to rant about emails.
I love it. Well, all right, buddy. Shane Tilley from ShaneTilley.com. Thanks for being on the show, mate. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Tim.
That right there was Shane Tilley, email marketer extraordinaire. I hope you enjoyed that, everyone. I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted. There was a lot of marketing ground covered there. I'm not even going to share my top 3 learnings from that. A, because we've gone way over time. B, because I'm sure you've taken a mountain of notes. I hope you enjoyed it. As I said, Shane is going to go back and answer any listener questions that weren't covered in that interview. He's also going to do an over-the-shoulder look at my email marketing strategy for Small Business Big Marketing. I'm going to post both those things in the Small Business Big Marketing forum over the coming weeks, and you can access them by simply joining the forum. It's $49. Right now it's $49 a month, and I'm in there every day answering listener questions, just joining the marketing conversation basically. Go to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com, click on the forum banner or hit the products page and you can access it there. Upcoming guests, guys: Daniel from Thank You Water. We've got Heather Smith, business author extraordinaire. I've got a funny business episode with Andrew Griffiths coming up. I have got a fellow Ellen Dick from Vintage Tub, one of the top 500 online retailers in the United States of America, and so much more. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being a part of the Small Business Big Marketing tribe. Have a great week. See you next week.
You've been listening to the Small Business Big Marketing Show with Tim Reid. Want more marketing goodness? Then visit smallbusinessbigmarketing.com.